Which NFL team is going to draft the best bottle of bourbon or whiskey? Let's find out. What is going on, everybody? Nathan here with the Everyday Drinker, bringing us a brand new video. It is that time of year. The NFL has finally begun, and us guys are going to be kicking it back in our big rocking chairs and recliners, watching our favorite NFL teams every single Sunday, and our wives are going to be wishing that the NFL season never began. But nonetheless, let me know down in the comments below what your favorite NFL team is, and without further ado, today is the NFL Bourbon Draft. Make sure you guys drop that like, leave a comment down below on what your favorite team, what you wish your team drafted in this down below. Smash that subscribe button if you're brand new, because we are going to be doing bi-weekly videos of head-to-head blinds of these bottles of bourbons to see which one is going to come out on top in the Super Bowl of bourbons. Now, make sure you guys check that link out down to the Patreon. I had a lot of help from the Patreons on this video. Can't thank them enough. Barrel picks coming out soon, but without further ado, let's get into the gist of what this video is all about. All right, so we had a little bit of a criteria to follow this year for the draft. We had to follow a 100 to 125 proof point, so that there wasn't anything that's 90, there wasn't anything that's super high proof. There is one bottle that does get drafted that's at 96 proof, but you know, that's for you to find out what bottle that is. Also, couldn't have anything that's crazy finished. There are a couple of bottles that have wood finish, but it's nothing like Amberana or like maple or honey, something like that. There's nothing that is super bold in that finish process. And also, the majority of these bottles are easy to find bottles. There are a couple in this draft that are harder to find, but that's just, you know, what ifs. Those are the what if bottles. If that bottle beats out, how far can it go? We're going to be finding that out. Now, how do these work? We're going to be doing bi-weekly videos of 3 rounds of head-to-head blinds, right? I'm not going to know which bottle is going to be head-to-head or what team is head-to-head, because I'm going to have numbers that are randomly generated for those teams. You guys will know on the bottom of the screen which team is going head-to-head and which team wins, because that numbered bottle is going to be continued into the next week, whereas that losing number is then gone forever. I hope you guys are following along with it. If you aren't, make sure you click that notification bell so that you can follow along as the weeks progress. Now, instead of spinning a wheel for you guys, I already spun the wheel because, you know, that was a long video last year. And I'm just going to give you guys, division by division, who drafted what bottle of bourbon. So without further ado, let's start with the AFC North. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we have the AFC North. And starting off with our left-hand bottle, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers. They drafted Old Overholt, Cask Strength, 10-year rye whiskey. Now, this is one of the ones that was a little bit harder to find. You know, it's a rye whiskey. We'll see how well this fares. These are not going to be going head against each other. This is just what this team drafted off of the spinning wheel of 55 different bottles of bourbons and whiskeys. So, also, Fiddler was drafted by the Cincinnati Bengals. This was an SLB store pick. I wanted to throw this in here because, you know, Fiddler's available in most places rather than New Jersey, unfortunately. And you can get really delicious store picks. I really enjoyed this one, and I wanted to see how it would fare. Now, also, we had the Barrel Bourbon Mizunara. This is one of those wood finished bottles that I had in the draft that, you know, doesn't have a big, bold, different oak profile. It just has a little bit subtleties in there. It's more bourbon rather than a finish. And this was drafted by the Baltimore Ravens. Then we had the Blue Note Las Notas. This was drafted by the Cleveland Browns. So yes, another somewhat finished bottle of bourbon, but it's not finished in something that's going to give it an edge over others because of that finished process. So there you guys have it. This was the AFC North. Let's get into the AFC South. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we are with the AFC South. Starting out on our left again, we had the Houston Texans. They drafted the Whiskey War Barrel Proof. Now, this is not a rye. This is not a bourbon. This is a blended whiskey coming from the Whiskey War, a blend of straight whiskeys handcrafted in small batches coming in at 116 proof. I've had a couple of sips out of this bottle. This bottle was sent to me. I have to still do the review on it. I'm waiting on a couple more bottles to come in to do the review on this bottle. But nonetheless, this one coming out of the High Bank Distillery, absolutely delicious. So Texans got a sleeper pick here, in my personal opinion. Moving on, we had the Tennessee Titans drafting the unbent straight rye whiskey. You guys know my thoughts on that bottle. We just did a review on those, and that could be a really good pick by them. 100 proof bottle and bond. Next up, we had the Indianapolis Colts drafting the Baker's 7. This is an 8-year, 1-month Baker's 7 coming in at 107 proof. Great pick by the Indianapolis Colts. And finally, we had the Jacksonville Jaguars drafting the Barrel Bourbon New Year 2024 release coming in at 113 proof. Great bottle right here. We'll see how it fares. Let's get into the AFC West. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have the AFC West in front of us, and all the way to the left, we had the Las Vegas Raiders drafting Barrel Bourbon Batch 35 coming in at 117.5 proof. Next up, we had the LA Chargers drafting the Cedar Ridge Barrel Proof coming in at 116 proof. Great bottle right there. Next up, we had the Kansas City Chiefs, right? Yes, the Kansas City Chiefs drafting the Penelope Architect Build number 4. This is 104 proof whiskey. Absolutely love these architects, and we'll just see how well the Chiefs fare this year in the real world and also in the NFL Bourbon Whiskey War, whatever this is going to be. Next up, we had the Denver Broncos drafting the unbent straight malt whiskey. You guys know my thoughts on this bottle is pretty darn interesting, pretty darn good. We'll see how it fares. Moving on, let's get into the last and final AFC division, the AFC East. All right, ladies and gentlemen, with our last and final AFC division, we have the AFC East, and starting off, we have the New York Jets drafting the Few Bottled and Bond Central Jersey Bourbon Society pick coming in at 100 proof. Next up, we had the Miami Dolphins selecting the Larceny A124. This is one of the higher proofs in this draft, 124.2 proof. Miami Dolphins might have a sleeper pick right there. Next up, we have the New England Patriots. All my New England fans out there, I'm sorry you drafted the Elijah Craig A124 coming in 119 proof. We'll see how it does. I don't have high hopes for it, but only blind will tell. Next up, we have the Buffalo Bills coming in with the Bardstown Bourbon Company single barrel proof coming in 123.6 proof. Great pick by the Bills. This one could go all the way. But there you guys have it. That's the AFC. Let's get into the NFC. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are in the NFC North, and our first pick for the Detroit Lions was the Benchmark Full Proof coming in at 125 proof. So this is going to be, I believe, the highest proof bottle of bourbon in this blind. We're going to see how it does. You know, is high proof going to be the deciding factor going forward? That's for time to tell. Next up, we had, I believe, the Green Bay Packers selecting one of my absolute favorite mixing whiskeys, Old Forester, 100 proof, orange label. Great bottle right there. Next up, we had the Vikings picking the BEP Maker's Mark. Last year's bottle, 110.7 proof. Great bottle right there. Next up, our fourth and final NFC North team, Chicago Bears. Picking up one of the stud muffin bottles of bourbons that you can't go wrong with. Wild Turkey Rare Breed. Great pick by the Bears right there. Never know, that could go a good distance in this battle here. That's going to be a fun one for the Chicago Bears. They're going to be a fun team in real life, too. Before we get into the next division, though, I want to know if your team has already drafted its bottle of bourbon and if you're excited for it. Let me know that down in the comments below, but let's get into the NFC South. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we are with the NFC South. Our first pick, one of the harder to find bottles of bourbons, is going to be going to the Atlanta Falcons drafting the E.H. Taylor small batch bottle and bond 100 proof bottle. Next up, we had the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, again, selecting a 100 proof single barrel bottle. This is going to be the John J. Bowman. A little bit easier to find bottle than the E.H. Taylor, and pretty darn similar in my personal opinion. Next up, we had the Carolina Panthers drafting Barrel Bourbon Batch 36, coming in at 114.44 proof. Really good bottle. Did a review on it a while back. We'll see how that does. Next up, you guys are probably wondering, isn't this hard to find, this bottle? No, this bottle is not hard to find. I can go into stores all the time and see it. The only thing that's kicking this bottle is the $200 price tag. So we'll see if a $200 bottle of bourbon, the 2XO German Kentucky, drafted by the New Orleans Saints, is this going to be able to conquer over top of other cheap bottles? I highly doubt it, but we're going to find out. I also think that this is probably the best bottle drafted by a team, because black and gold and silver bottle, black and gold and silver team, I think it is what it is. Let's find out who the NFC West drafted. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have the NFC West in front of us, and starting off, we have the LA Rams drafting the Green River Full Proof, coming in at 117.3 proof. This bottle right here is absolutely fantastic, and I'm excited to see how far this bottle can make it. Next up, we have the Seahawks. Seahawks are drafting the Bardstown Origin Series Rye. This is the 96 proof bottle that has been drafted. This bottle right here drinks higher than its proof. It's full of flavor, and I really wanted to put it in here. And because it's my channel, I have that power to do so. So that's why I threw it in here, and we'll see just how far the Seahawks make it with that bottle. Next up, we had another Bardstown drafted in the NFC West, and that's going to go to the San Francisco 49ers, drafting the Bardstown Origin Series Bottle and Bond Wheated Bourbon. We'll see how far this one makes it. And then another harder to find bottle. This is hard to find bottle number 2 for these bourbons. We had the 1924 10-year Old Forester drafted by the Cardinals. Again, I don't think that this bottle of bourbon is worth the money inside of it, but we're going to find out in the blinds going forward. We'll see just how well this bottle does. Let's get into our fourth and final NFC division, and that's going to be the NFC East. The NFC East has drafted 3 incredible whiskeys. When I saw all 3 of these teams draft these 3 bottles, I thought, oh my God, it could be an NFC East Super Bowl. We're going to find out here, though. We've got the Washington Commanders drafting the Yellowstone Toasted 100 proof bottle. Never really did a full review on this bottle. Not the biggest fan of it, but hey, we'll see how it fares in these blinds. Next up, we had the New York Giants selecting the Russell's Reserve Private Select. This is that Camp Nelson E 10-year 110 proof bottle that I absolutely love. And I do believe the New York Giants made it pretty darn far last year. They have the possibility to make it pretty darn far this year as well. Next up, Cowboys drafted the JT Mellick Rice Whiskey. This bad boy's coming in at 121.3 proof, so it's not a rye, it's not a bourbon, it's a rice whiskey, and man oh man, this bottle packs an absolute punch. I wouldn't be surprised if this makes it all the way, but we will find out. And last and not least, Philadelphia Eagles selected Weller Full Proof. Now this is probably the hardest bottle to find. I wanted to throw it in there just, to see what it does. And by all means, I was not going to shy away from my Eagles drafting them. But we'll find out. 114 proof bottle of bourbon. Might lose out in the first round. That is for time to tell. I want you guys to put your favorites in the comments below, and we'll find out by the end of the year which team and which bourbon is going to win this entire NFL bourbon madness. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Like I said, leave that like, leave that comment, smash that subscribe button, click that notification bell above so you don't miss another video, and check that link out down below for the Patreon. Until next time, it's been Nathan, the Everyday Drinker. Cheers.